Hello guys and welcome back to another UCO Fantasy video. Today I'm going to present you some deadline tips for the upcoming Matchday 11. We're going to discuss the captain options firstly, and then I'm going to showcase to you my Matchday 11 Final team. Spoiler alert, I've made several changes there because I've done my extensive research on all of my players and I found two better players that I can replace my players with, and I'm going to justify every pick that I have in my team currently. My rank is currently in the top 1k, so I'm hopefully going to remain there after this match day, but we may even try to push for top 600, top 700. That would be the goal. If you want to support me and show your appreciations, I'm going to go for 3k by the beginning of the match day. I don't know if that's going to be possible because we are 95 people away at that exact moment, but with you guys I think everything is possible. So let's reach that 3k number. It would mean the world to me. Now let's go and discuss those captaincy options because I think there can be some deliberation and I want to make everything clear. Starting in day one, I've picked several captaincy options from basically each game that is going to be played. So we have firstly Guirassy versus Lille. It's a home fixture for Borussia Dortmund. I feel like this can be a cheeky differential captain if you go for it. I myself, I'm probably not planning to do it, but it's a very close decision on my end and I'm going to showcase to you in my team. Guirassy 8.2 is on penalties, is playing Lille. I think Dortmund are in a good form. Guirassy in particular is in an amazing form. He has scored 5 goals in the last 2 games. I know that he missed a penalty against Sporting in match day 10, but this doesn't just delete what he did in the first 9 match days where he has been consistently strong. So I may even take a punt and go for him because on day 2 I have a pretty solid captaincy option, so I may just risk it with Guirassy, and yeah, for sure it will be a differential captain. 8.2, I think it's a really good price. Then moving into Mbappe from Real Madrid. Here it's basically whoever you own. Either Mbappe or Vini is going to be a really solid captaincy option for you. I know that the Real Madrid Atletico games are very how to say it, they are just very tight games and sometimes it's not the best idea to go for their captains and for their players as captains, but this is the Real Madrid tournament and on day 1 I expect Real to deliver. If you want to get a little piece of that, I think Mbappe or Vini is the best option to go for. Bellingham is suspended, Rodrigo is an option, but he's always maneuvering around the side and yeah, he's taken out sometimes when they need a result, but Mbappe and Vini are basically 90 minutes in, so I would say both of them are really solid options. Then we move to the more differential ones and to the more controversials, if you would say. Starting with Gabriel, I think he's the best player from Arsenal to own at the moment and the best player to get into contention for your team. If you want to target Arsenal as a team to captain, he will get a clean sheet most probably and around 2 points for ball recovery, so you have probably between 4 and 8 points for him in general, but if he scores a goal, he will probably get the man of the match and he can skyrocket to somewhere to 16-17 points, which can be ideal. Of course, that's a very limited and very good thing to happen in a row to deliver that result, but at the end of the day, I would say if you're taking a punt on an Arsenal player, it should be Gabriel. Finally, it's Ollie Watkins, and here I wanted to present Ollie Watkins because I still think that he's the most nailed forward that they have in the team. Dorian Malen is not registered in the Champions League squad, so that would mean that Watkins will start up front. There is Rashford on the left, Rodgers on the right, and Asensio in the middle. I think that's how the lineup is going to go. If they include Bailey, that would mean probably Asensio will drop. If they include Ramsey, that would mean probably Rashford will drop. Will that happen? Most probably not. Asensio and Rashford were brought in for Champions League specifically, and I would say that going for either of them is an option. So you can replace Watkins with Rashford, you can replace him with Rodgers, you can replace him with Asensio, but that's a Villa spot in that sense. I'm just going with Watkins because he is the player that goes straight forward and in the middle. So at the end of the day, if you want to pick that option, it's completely fine by you. But I would say Guirassy and Mbappe are the top 2 options from that list. Now, let's go and see day 2 because I think the better players play there and the more attractive ones. So there we can choose a proper captain also. Going for day 2, I think this is where the bread and butter is. So because you see the list of all those players, I think that you can safely go rogue in day one. Of course, you may miss some big hitter. For example, if you don't go for Mbappe, he can score 3 goals and get the points. Of course, if, let's say, Girassi does the same, or let's say Gabriel or Rashford or whoever you want to include in that equation does well, you still have that player. But captaining the right one seems like the best thing to do, and of course that is true, but you still get the player and you get those players in day two. I think that's still. We start with the game between Liverpool and PSG. Dembele and Salah, both the best captaincy options in my opinion. I think that going for either of them is going to be great. I think that going for Dembele, it's the riskier one because he plays Liverpool, and Liverpool in my eyes and probably to a lot of people around the world is at least top 2 sides in the world currently together with Barcelona. In my eyes, they are number 1. So it's going to be a very, very hard fought game for PSG, but it's still at their stadium. That would mean that I would not think it's crazy for them to score a goal. If they score a goal, then Dembele is going to be involved. Then we move to Mohamed Salah, who is the best player in the world currently. I don't think anyone is saying anything against that. And he is facing PSG away. That means that he will have space on the counter, which is the best thing he enjoys. Just give a 60 meters pass by Trent for him to just stop and either put on the way of Gakpo, Suarez, Diaz, whoever is going to play up front, or Szoboszlai coming from second position, or he just dribbles, shoot, go, and that's it. Salah is ideal for those type of games, and when he faces a better opposition, he just switches up and turns the gear on, and he's just inevitable in my eyes. So Salah, I think it's a better captaincy option than Dembele, but I couldn't have mentioned Dembele, who probably is having the best period of his life now at PSG, especially at the start of 2025. Then moving to the bottom options, here are the safer options and the options that I enjoy even more. We start with Rafi, 7.7 against Benfica. I would say that if my captain doesn't work on day one, it's going to be Rafi that comes in. And this guy just enjoys those big occasions, guys. I think that he just also inevitable in those type of fixtures. Like every time when I see Barcelona play in a very, very hard game, just Rafi switches it up, does some Brazilian trickery and just scores a goal. The flair of this guy, everything that he delivers, it's just pure madness. I resemble him as a guy that pretty much resembles, I admire him, and he resembles for me Ronaldinho. He is the first player probably after Neymar, but Neymar in Barcelona lost a little bit of that flair. I would say that in PSG he showed it more, but Ronaldinho was doing it all the time in Barcelona. Then it was Neymar, and now on the left wing for Barcelona is, guess who? Rafinha. It's like a Brazilian man appears out of thin air. Rivaldo, Ronaldinho, Neymar, Rafinha in some period of time where it's just pure madness on the left wing, and it's just amazing to be seen. So yeah, I'm a big fanboy of Rafi, and I think that he's playing very well. So I would say Rafi is the safest option in day two. And then we go to Lautaro Martinez. I'm mentioning him because he plays at Inter Milan. He's their best player, probably the best player in Italy that's playing at the moment. He's on penalties and he's Mr. Inter Milan, if you ask me. This guy is just amazing also. He's pretty expensive, if you ask me, especially for an Inter team that sometimes doesn't turn up goal-wise. But on the other hand, I thought the same in the group stage, and Lautaro just went and destroyed everything that I knew. But at the end of the day, he is a very good option facing Feyenoord away from home. Hopefully your day one captaincy will work, but day two captain, if you go to Rafi, I don't think that it's any crazier. Of course, Lewandowski here is an option. I don't mention him because I just think Rafi is the better one. Most of you may disagree with me, but I am just a bigger fan of Rafi at the moment. There is, of course, if you go for Barcola, if you go for Kvaratskhelia, you can go for someone from the Inter Milan game in defense, but that's too risky in my opinion for day two. And I'm missing players from Bayer Leverkusen, Bayern Munich, where Harry Kane, Florian Wirtz are going to be amazing options to captain, but I just don't feel like a lot of goals are going to score in that game because Bayer Leverkusen tends to keep it really tight in those type of fixtures. From what I've seen, the only surprise that I had was when they lost to Liverpool, but in fairness, they lost They were losing 2-0 and they lost 4-1 or something at the end, but the 2 goals from Liverpool came very, very late. So basically they conceded only 2. So I think those games are very, very tight and Leverkusen will not let Bayern Munich run riot. Of course, that can change and that can be an absolute lie that I'm speaking. But for now, I really do think that it's not an option to captain anyone from that game. Day 1, my favorite captain, Mbappe or Girassi. Day 2, it's Rafi for me. So let's go and see how my team is looking and I'll showcase to you the changes that I've made. This is the team that I currently own, and to be fair, it's not going to change drastically. The teams are not going to change. Some of the players will change after the extensive research that I did and why I went in that direction, but I showcase it to you, of course, in each position, what's going to go on and why I select those players. So now, after you've seen that, let's jump and start discussing position by position. So starting in my team, of course, we start with the goalkeeper's position, and I think that position picks itself for my team at the current state of the game. We're starting with Raya and Martinez, but the Martinez from Inter Milan. Now I'm going to present to you why I picked those players once again, because there is a high chance that Arsenal and Inter continue forward. First day, Arsenal play, second, Inter. They're not on the same part of the bracket, so they're not going to clash in each time. Of course, Martinez is the second goalkeeper from Inter Milan. That would mean that eventually he will get benched. And with this benching, I will need to make a transfer. But I'm willing to book that transfer because I know how good Inter Milan are. There is an option to go for Kobel, but the option with Kobel is at the moment to go with Kobel right now and Martinez. But if Borussia and Inter proceed through, they're on the same part of the bracket. So I'll have to make a transfer either way in that sense. Then if I go with Raya and Kobel this time around, they play on the same day to this week, and I'm not going to be able to do that. I will have to book a transfer basically for this week. So I'll have to start either Raya and Martinez or Raya and Kobel, or Kobel and Martinez. So I will have to booking a transfer, and I'm far more comfortable going with the Inter Milan and Arsenal keepers, as they're relatively good sides to defend and they're not jumping between days. So if they reach the quarters, Borussia and Inter will play on the same day, so you have it on the side bracket, and Arsenal will play on the other. Of course, Arsenal will most probably play either against Atletico or Real, but in every sense, Arsenal goalkeeper is a good, okay option to have. Of course, Kobel is the third one that I have been considering. I've seen several drafts going for Szczesny from Barcelona because they have the highest chance of reaching the semifinals. They face now Benfica, and after that they face either Lille or Borussia Dortmund. So I feel quite sure that they will reach the semifinals this year if something drastic doesn't happen. But I don't think they keep a clean sheet in any of that fixture. And you say that this is counterintuitive because you see Kunde in my team, and spoiler alert, you see him later again. But I would say here that Kunde in particular has many more appeals compared to Szczesny. I don't think Szczesny keeps a clean sheet. I don't think he makes a lot of saves, and I don't think he will be able to save penalties. I can be wrong about any of those three or all of three combined, but I really do feel safer with Raya and Martinez in goal. Basically the Arsenal and Inter Milan keepers. It would have been the most ideal scenario to have Sommer from the beginning, but we can't get the ideal scenarios because injuries happen and things change. But for now, I feel quite content with that. And now I'm going to move to defense because it hasn't changed a lot, but there is a change and you'll be quite surprised where the change is. Going into defense, there is one change in my team, as I mentioned before, and that is in the Inter Milan spot. I'm going to get to that, but let's start with the obvious selection. Starting with Gabriel, he's the most obvious defender to go for. I even mentioned him as an option to go as my captain for day one. That's how much I believe in Arsenal's defense. First of all, going for double from their defense. Secondly, going for a player for a captaincy option. Yeah, I really do believe that Arsenal will do well. PSV are not in their best form. I know that they've eliminated a team to reach that part of the tournament, but to be fair, it has not been on the level of Arsenal, and I really do believe that Gabriel is the best option to get from that team. I see several teams going for example for someone like Saliba as a third option, but I think that's too much. I think it's an overkill to go for more than two defenders because you're just either getting a lot of returns or zero returns, and at this stage I think that there is a lot to diversify for and to, so no, it's not up for me. Then we move to Grimaldo, who is the safest option out there yet for me, because it's a Bayer Leverkusen defensive spot. As I already discussed before, in hindsight, Leverkusen, and when they face a very hard opposition, they tend to lock up the game. They put out 6 defenders, 4 defenders, and then Grimaldo and Frimpong just overlapping the wings, and it's just a 6 defenders formation. They have 2 holding GMs, so it's very hard to penetrate. In that side, they keep a lot of clean sheets, and in that side, those defenders tend to hurt the opposition. Of course, you may choose wrong between Frimpong and Grimaldo. I'm going for Grimaldo basically because he takes some of the free kicks. And that's it. When they face it on the left side, he sometimes takes it and he scores it. That's it. That's why I pick Grimaldo over Frimpong, nothing up there as a anything else to conclude. Of course, Frimpong, if you want to go for a double of them, I would not be against it. But as I mentioned, I want to diversify. Going into the third neo defense that I went for, that was Borussia Dortmund. It was either going to be Schlotterbeck, or the guy that I'm choosing for right now, it's Ben Sabiani. He came back from an injury, and since Niko Kovac came to the team after replacing Nuri Sahin, he has not been utilized just how Sahin utilized him, because he was turning into that midfielder for them and basically joining the attack like Rico Willis style, like Gvardiol style, like Zinchenko style, like, you know, the style that last year just overpopulated the Prem. But at the end of the day, he's still a flying fullback, and he can still assist or score more regularly than Schlotterbeck. That would limit his ball recovery's potential, but he's a placeholder for whoever from Liverpool and PSG go to the next stage. So yeah, I'm not going to overthink it, and I'm going to pick the fullback. Yes, he can be replaced with Swanson, but that sometimes might be a good option, because at the end of the day, if you get your defender with a clean sheet out, you don't care if he plays for 90 minutes. Then moving into Jules Koundé, this guy was not in my first draft, but he has been since the second one and has not left any of them. You're going to ask why I have Koundé over Inigo Martinez, Kubrasi, because all of them score goals more regularly than Koundé, but they're not as nailed. There is now Araujo coming back into the team, Kubrasi, and Inigo Martinez, and someone can argue Eric Garcia. If they get like some injuries or something like that, yes, you can nail down the center-back partnership. But now, I think Baude and Koundé are the 2 most nailed picks on that defense. But I just prefer Koundé. He is a massive monster on ball recoveries. He can score a goal. He can get a very good attacking return, and he can keep a clean sheet. He is nailed, and that's why I'm going for that Barcelona spot. I mentioned that I don't expect them to keep any clean sheets, but me without chips, I need a player that will go deeper into the tournament without me caring to take him out. So I'm currently betting on Barcelona reaching the semi-final, so I'll have Koundé for 6 weeks, and I'll be happy with not using a transfer there. While with Chesney, I will get absolutely nothing in return having him, and will be stuck with him because I will not go anywhere else. So yeah, Koundé stays in the team at the moment, and I don't think I will change it before the start of Matchday 11. Now, the final player that joins the team is Dumfries. You're going to say, but weren't you the guy that mentioned that Dumfries is rotatable? Yes. Why do I go with Dumfries? Because I think every Inter Milan defender is rotatable. That's because I went into a deeper research. I wanted to make it as fully explainable as possible, and wanting to go as hard in as possible to saying why I pick those players and what do I believe they are good for. And in hindsight, Dumfries is as nailed as the others. They currently have a lot of options going for center back. Bastoni, Acerbi, De Vrij, Bisek, and Pavard. Those are 5 center backs for 3 spots. Recently, Acerbi has been replacing De Vrij in the center of the defense. Bastoni has been playing on the left. It has been either Bisek or Pavard depending on the game, and either Acerbi or De Vrij. I cannot go and bet which defender is going to play. So then you're going to say, why don't you go for Bastoni then? Because Bastoni tends to be replaced around the 60th minute in the last 6 games that I've checked for Inter Milan. 2 times though, it was before the 60th minute. It was on the 59th, and it was One of the last times when they played in UCL, he was replaced in the 59th minute and he didn't get a clean sheet. He's always a regular starter on that left center back position. I think he's their main defender. And if I go further down the tournament with Inter Milan and want to get more defenders, probably Bastoni, if no injuries has happened to De Vrij or Acerbi, I'll be going there. If Acerbi or De Vrij is out, one of them is starting in the central center back position. Then you move to the option out wide. It's Augusto, Darmian, Di Marco, and Dumfries. Augusto and Darmian are both injured currently, so they're out. Di Marco is probably with an injury, so that would mean that Dumfries plays. I would say that it's Dumfries and Pavard that plays. Many of you may argue that Di Marco is good, and all the better because Dumfries will play, but the natural replacement of Dumfries was Darmian, and Darmian is currently out. So that would say that Dumfries is as nailed as it gets. I don't want to sweat if Feyenoord versus Inter game, I will know the lineup, of course, and if Dumfries by any chance is benched, I may even play him because he can score. But yeah, at the end of the day, I would say that if I'm to risk it, I'm going to risk it with the wing back. Because if a defender is not starting or is replaced early on, I'm getting, let's say, 2-3 points, whatever he manages to get. But Dumfries may score a goal, may get an assist, he's getting in absurd chances, and he's, I think, nailed at the moment. And yeah, let's risk it with Dumfries. I think that I went from doing 4 center backs and 1 fullback to 4 fullbacks and 1 center back. Yes, the game changed, but this year, I don't know why, most of the center backs are rotatable while the wing backs are not. Like for Inter, like for Borussia, if you say Anton Schlotterbeck and Can, I think Schlotterbeck is nailed, but who knows. And only nailed defender is Gabriel, so yeah, Barcelona rotating, so that's why I'm going with Dumfries. Now let's move to midfield, where I would surprise you to say that there is a change after I advocated for that midfield and it picked itself for the whole week, but there is one change and I want to discuss it together with you. Going into midfield, the teams remain the same, but there is one player that makes a first-time appearance into my squad, and I'm going to mention why, and I'm going to review what's going to be the purpose of this move. Starting with the obvious selections, I'm going with the 3 players that have never left my thoughts and the squad thoughts, being Salah, Rafi, and Wirtz. Starting with Salah being the best player in the world at the moment, decides his spot basically for himself. Like, I don't see a world for me going without Mohamed Salah. That may seem strange and that may seem a little bit controversial, but no, it doesn't seem controversial. Scratch that off. It's just nonsense to go without Salah. Sorry for those of you that are risking it without him, but in my eyes, it's non-optional to go without Salah. Moving into the second best player in the world, it's Rafinha. This guy, as explained during the captain's selection, just excites me, just makes everything seem easier and makes everything look amazing and flashy and with flair and with, yeah, he's just an amazing football player that I think should be considered as probably the best Brazilian currently and probably top 3 players in the world at the moment. Benfica away, last time he played there, he scored the last minute winner, and that was like a historical moment in the UCL this year. And this guy is just inevitable in my eyes and probably the best option for captaincy in day 2. Moving to forwards, I know that it seems a little bit strange to pick him at that moment because he faces Bayern Munich, and I already just explained that possibly it's going to be a low scoring game, but this guy is talismanic. This guy plays basically sometimes as a striker in those hard games, and this guy is the best German talent out there, in my opinion. For me, he's the best player in Germany at the moment, and I think he's due a bigger move in the summer. I don't know where he will end up. There is some speculation about Manchester City. Hopefully, as a Liverpool fan, that's just not going to happen. If he turns out in Liverpool, I will be one of the happiest guys out there. But for now, he's just the best Bayer Leverkusen player, and I'm not going to go without him. Dembele I didn't mention together with those 3 guys because he's a recency picked up form guy, but yeah, he's just there, and he is their center forward in those hard games. He just plays as a striker, and who else to get in the team in the out of position striker. Yeah, it's Dembele for me. Barcola and Kvaratskhelia have crossed my mind. Vitinha has crossed my mind because of the performances, but they played against Brest, and we all knew that this is going to be easy game for PSG as they tend to destroy the French teams. Now they are facing the best team in the world, and doubling, tripling, quadrupling up on Dembele on PSG seems strange, so I'm not going to go there. In defense, of course, I avoided speaking about Liverpool and PSG because I think those games are going to be very high scoring. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe Liverpool just shut it down. Maybe PSG just shut it down, but I just don't expect it. I expect both Liverpool and PSG to score goals. I just expect Liverpool to score more. So yeah, going for Dembele is the only option that I'm going to say there. And now I have another the first two players basically that face off against each other, and I think that's going to be more than enough in that midfield sense to go for only two players against each other. Not wanting to get someone from Benfica or something like that. The same can be said in defense. I don't just want to get players that I think are going to go out, and booking both Liverpool and PSG in any sense or form means that one team 100% is going to go out, so that's just transfer booking, and having already Martinez in goal booked, having already one more player booked. I have one more player booked, so I will have 3 players at least booked for that sense. So yeah, that's a lot of booking, and with 5 transfers, it's not for me. But for now, they will remain there. The final pick here is going to be Asensio, and I'm going to say why I picked him. Looking at how Aston Villa set up and how they play, I went into a very, very deep search into their team because I wanted to see exactly what's going to happen in that game. The only game that they didn't start Asensio was when they played 3-4-3, and I'm not seeing that happening in UCL, especially against Bruges. In every other sense, they play in a standard 4-2-3-1. Simple as that. They put 4 defenders with fullbacks, they play 2 holding GMs, they play 3 attacking midfielders, left winger, right winger, and a cam in that particular spot, and they play with the 4. The forward spot is reserved for Ollie Watkins. Until he gets an injury or suspension, no one else is playing there. So that would say that Ollie Watkins is there. Then we have the 3 midfielders, and they've bought players like Rashford and Asensio specifically for UCL. I think that probably they have something in their contracts. If they're fit, they should start. Like, I don't see Asensio signing up to play Cardiff in the FA Cup, or coming from PSG, becoming a champion, to jumping to play in Cardiff. I just don't see it. I don't see Rashford going for only those FA Cup games or some league games. I think they're here to play UCL football, and them being here to play UCL football increase their potential. So Rashford occupies the left, Asensio occupies the middle, and Morgan Rogers most of the times occupies the right spot. So it's Rashford, Asensio, and then it's Morgan Rogers. So you're basically seeing it off cam. But Asensio is the cam. They interchange sometime with Rogers. I've seen it during games. That can happen. But Aston Villa's attacks, 90% probably of the games and the goals come from the left, being either from Digne, being either from Rashford, being either from Jacob Ramsey. Probably like 90% of the goals they've scored, some of the part of it played from the left. On the right, that's not happening. Morgan Rogers, when he played centrally against Celtic, scored 3 goals. When he played from the left from the middle against Spurs, he scored a goal. But as of now, he's playing where? On the right. And since then, he has not returned a lot of points. Of course, as mentioned, they interchange with Asensio and a lot of things can happen. But Rashford had been setting up the attacking mid pretty well, and that attacking mid, I will not surprise you to say, it's Asensio. So that's why Asensio appeal for me jumps really high. I don't see McGinn playing on the right, so it's going to be Rogers. I don't see Bailey playing there also. I don't see Ramsey overlapping Rashford. It just doesn't going to happen. And I don't see, if Ramsey plays on the right and Rashford plays on the left, it's Asensio in the middle. There is a chance that Bailey plays and Roger plays and Rashford plays, but I just don't see Asensio being benched. He's a UCL winner. I don't know if there are any other else UCL winners in that Villa squad. So they need someone with that experience, and Asensio is that guy. So I would say that Asensio's appeal now just bumps up. They have been scoring when he plays from the middle. He has been involved so much. Rashford set up the shadow striker so well, and Asensio has been occupying that spot. You cannot go for Rashford because he's a forward, and I don't think playing out of position forward is something amazing, because forwards need to be forward in order to be good. Out of position players work if they are midfielder because they got more points for goals. But in general, I think now Asensio is the better pick. Of course, here I am omitting the most high-owned player of the game at the moment, being Yamal. I think that percentage is high because of the players that started the game and just gone without it. Like, he was pretty hot after the summer, but now I think Rafi is the better option. I think Leva is number 2 and Yamal is number 3. Of course, I can be wrong and I can be speaking gibberish, but for now I really do believe that Asensio is the best option to go from Rodgers after the research I made. I always thought that Rodgers was in the central and Asensio on the right, but then I went into games and it was like, no, it is not. It's Asensio in the middle, and I'm like, okay, we switch to Asensio. So the midfield is set. Now let's go talk about the forward line and speak about my choices there. Going into the forward line, this doesn't change because I think I'm pretty content with my forward spots, and I'm going to mention why. Starting with Girassi against Lille, I already mentioned that he's possibly one of the best captaincy options, and against Lille, yeah, I'm not going without him. Since Niko Kovac came on as a manager, he has been even more the focal point. Of course, in midfield, you can go for someone like Adeyemi, who has been improving since Kovac joined the team, but stacking up on Dortmund player just doesn't suit me. I don't know why people didn't believe in them against Sporting and no one picked any players of them, and now they're the most popular team to go for. I'm a little bit confused, but yeah, I think 2 is a sweet spot for Borussia Dortmund. And going with Lille at home is a good fixture to start with Girassi. It's a home fixture and he plays well. I don't think that you need any more explanation. Then moving into the Real Madrid spot, because you cannot pick a UCL team without a Real Madrid player. Let's be real. Those guys turn up for those UCL games like it's nobody's business. Everywhere they go, whatever they do, if it's UCL, they just fight it back. And I'm never in doubt that they're going to go to the next round like they're clinical winners. Ancelotti is probably top 3 managers in the world at the moment and has been since like forever top 3 manager. So I just don't feel like Real Madrid are losing against Atletico, but I think both teams will score goals. Just like Barcelona and Atletico Madrid scored against each other, I think the same will happen with Real Madrid and Atletico this season haven't been that solid of a side that we remember them for. They have just changed the things to outscore the other teams. But yeah, let's focus on Real Madrid first, because it's Mbappe or Vini. For me, it's 50-50. And I'm going for Mbappe because he's in better form. And that's it. Let's not discuss it because probably I'm making a mistake. But for now, I'm not going to go anymore there. Now, Alvarez, possibly Atletico has the best strikers combined in the world. Griezmann, Sorloth, Alvarez, Correa. You don't tell me there is a better 4 central strikers in one team in the world. Most teams lack even one. Liverpool don't have one. Arsenal don't have one. Who else? Okay, other teams like Bayer Leverkusen has one. Bayern has one, but that's one. Inter has, okay, let's say maybe the other team that can rival them, it's Inter Milan, because they have at least 2 or 3, but still 4 forwards, strikers, real strikers in one team, it's just out of this world. And Atletico, as mentioned, have improved offensively but has decreased defensively, because I don't know what happened. Did Cholo Simeone forget about his mantra of defending? He's just going out there and outscoring opponents, and that's the sad truth, that they're no longer a defensive side, but they are one hell of an offensive side. And for me, the best turnaround for them is Julian Alvarez. This guy takes pens now. He has taken the last one against Real Madrid. Nonetheless, while Griezmann was on the field, he got a little bit of a rest in the league, so I would say that he starts. Yeah, because they have 4 forward options. He's getting subbed off, but he plays day 1. And away from home, they will be, yes, trying to outscore, but they will be more on the counter, let's say. So Alvarez is the quickest of players, and I think he can get behind any defense, and I think that he will cause some damage against Real Madrid. Now, I'm booking Mbappe and Alvarez, one of them to go out, Dembele and Salah, and booking a goalkeeper's transfer. So those are already 3 transfers booked, but probably Alvarez is leaving the team between Matchday 11 and 12, because at home, yeah, he can score. Of course, that's true, but he will be possibly because I'll have 3 transfers, I'll have to do some changes in order to prepare for the next part of the tournament, whoever is performing bad. I may take out some of their players, for example, bring in someone else instead of Raya if I see a clear favorite in that bracket or something like that. A lot of things can change. But for now, I think I'm going this way. And yeah, let's say that Alvarez on pens is ahead of Griezmann. And I still have 2.2 million in the bank. So I think I will be able to afford a lot of players going forward. Of course, Asensio, picking him tears up a lot of the budget. So because Alvarez, if we check, his price is 8.3. If we go to Lewandowski, is 9.6. So I'll be able to do it if that's only the transfer that I make, because Lewandowski is the other guy that I'm considering, because this guy is amazing. Of course, I can go for Lautaro also and replace, if, for example, Dortmund are losing 4-0 to Lille, I'm just taking, getting rid of Guirassy and Bensebaini, probably Guirassy, and picking Lautaro because he will have a home fixture and possibly he will be through. So yeah, a lot of things can happen. But for now, I think I'm staying with Alvarez, Mbappe, and Guirassy. Pretty nailed players in good teams with not the best fixtures, but I think I want to have the diversity. I know I'm betting against Lautaro and Lewandowski and Pavlidis in that sense, but I'm willing to take that bet. So yeah, not owning the 2 most owned players being Hakimi and Yamal is a little bit scary. Harry Kane is not an option at the moment. Van Dijk is missing. Vini is missing. Bellingham for now is suspended, so he's not an option at the moment. But yeah, in hindsight, I really enjoy my team and I really enjoy how it's set up. So let's go and see how it looks, who I'm picking for captain, and then we are going to conclude the video. But let's jump and see how the team looks. So here is how the team is currently shaping up. We are starting in goal with Raya. Nothing changes there. He is the guy to go for because he plays on the 4th and hopefully he will get a clean sheet. Then moving into Gabriel, of course the 4th is great for him. And Bensebaini is the other defender that I have playing in the 4th. So in hindsight, 3 defensive options play on the 4th. Then I have 4 playing on the 2nd day, so that's more than enough to change, and I really like my defenders. Moving into midfield, I only have 1 midfielder, which may cause some things to change around there, and that's the risky option with Asensio, so he's basically my differential option. And then I'm going to the safer ones on day 2, so yeah, I'm starting with Asensio. Let's be real. Then we move to the 3 forwards that we have up front: Guirassy, Mbappe, and Alvarez. That's why I'm going with Alvarez, because he's day 1. On day 1, I don't see a better option. Yes, you can say Watkins is an option. Of course, you can go with Luke de Jong. You can go with Jonathan David. You can go with any other Real or Athletic permutation. But I just really fancy having Julian Alvarez there, because he's on penalties and he's as good as it gets. Of course, Watkins crossed my mind for day 1. Even a player like Jonathan David crossed my mind, but I really do feel like Dortmund are a better team now with Niko Kovac, and I really do feel like I don't want to bet against them. So I'm starting with the Atleti double, because you never know what's going to happen in those kind of games, and I'm willing to risk it more. Of course, Watkins is looking like the easiest option, but it's still Villa, they can screw up, and me having Asensio as a coverage, I think it's more than enough. The captaincy goes for Guirassy for now, because he faces Lille, and he has been vital for that Dortmund team, and he has been in the form of his life, so I'm not going to bet against him. Of course, Mbappe, Vini, Alvarez, all of them are options. Asensio is even an option, because we will know if he starts or not, of course, if he's benched on the deadline stream. Come in for the deadline stream, by the way, and you look at my team and say, okay, this is not. Put down a comment if you believe it now or not, but yeah, I'm willing to risk it with Guirassy at that state of the tournament. Then on my bench, I have Martinez, Joseph Martinez, Rafinha, Wirtz, and Dumfries. Oh, guys, for the final day, let's see if we're going to need all of the players, but if not, probably Kunde will be benched. So yeah, a lot of things will happen, but let's live first through day 1, and then we're going to see how day 2 is going. But I feel pretty strong with my squad, and I don't think that there is a lot to be improved on. If you disagree with me, please put down a comment section, but it will be very hard to persuade me against this team. Once again, special shout out to the members of the channel: Seth, Florian, Zach, Oscar, Papas, Kauser, with combined of 80 more gifted between Florian and Kauser. Thanks so much, guys, for your support. If you guys want to become members of the channel, you can join by clicking down join the member button or whatever is in your native language. Here are the prices in UK money. Of course, in every country it's completely different. Of course, if you don't want to spend your money or you are not able to, just click the subscribe button. It helps me a lot. Comment down, like the video, share it with your friends, and don't forget to come on the deadline stream. Turn that notification bell on because we need you there full strength for that deadline stream. It's going to be massive. We're going to have a lot of dilemmas and we're going to have a lot of fun chat. So don't forget it. But for now, guys, I'll be heading out. Bye.